What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Truth Be Told podcast. My name's Xavier, and today we're going to be going over my NFL Mock Draft 2.0. Let's get right into it. With the first pick of the 2025 NFL Draft, we have the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Titans are in a position here where they are able to take best player available, but if your head coach wants to keep his job, your best interest is probably hoping that a quarterback can help change this thing around. So, with the first pick in the draft, I have them selecting Cam Ward out of the University of Miami. Now with the second pick of the draft, we've got the Cleveland Browns. The Browns need a quarterback, but I don't believe that Shedeur Sanders is a good enough prospect to justify picking him over the top two guys in this class, which is Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. And for me personally, I believe that Abdul Carter is the best player in the draft when I go over his tape. So I have them taking Abdul Carter because it's a higher position of need than a wide receiver or cornerback is. Okay, next we have the New York Giants. Now the New York Giants need a quarterback very bad, but I think the New York Giants go best player in the draft right here, left, and take Travis Hunter. Fourth pick in the draft, we have the New England Patriots. They need offensive help for Drake May. They finally have their quarterback position filled after losing Tom Brady with a guy like Drake May who has a lot of potential. So I see them trading down here or taking the best offensive player available at a position of need, which is wide receiver, running back, or offensive line. And I personally have them taking Ted McMillan, who's a really talented receiver who can go up and get the ball, but also has the ability to separate at the top of his routes. Next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have a roster where they can pretty much take whatever position they would like to. Besides maybe running back, they have two decent running backs, but nothing special by any means. And I have them taking the best player left on the board right here, and that's Mason Graham, the interior defensive lineman out of Michigan. This guy is extremely disruptive, reminds me a lot of a guy like Chris Jones. Next, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders. They just hired Pete Carroll as their head coach, and we're looking for them to build through the draft because that roster needs a lot of help. You have Brock Bowers, who's probably a top 3 tight end in the NFL already. So what do? If you come in and sign a veteran like Russell Wilson, you can look to next year's draft to possibly get a quarterback unless you think Shedeur Sanders is that guy. Tom Brady has worked with Shedeur Sanders throughout his life, so what I see them doing right here is taking Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. Next, you've got the New York Jets. The New York Jets need a lot of help on this roster. They fell down the stretch after their head coach was fired because they have a lot of aging veterans and a few of them got injured. Now, I see them retaining Aaron Rodgers this offseason and going for best defensive player available because they have a defensive head coach. But I think they're going to be intrigued with Tyler Warren out of Penn State, who I think is a top tight end prospect I've ever seen behind guys like Brock Bowers and Rob Gronkowski, obviously. I have him a little under Kyle Pitts as well. We know the Kyle Pitts situation, but Tyler Warren is a great player. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers. And the Carolina Panthers need help on the D-line, in their secondary, and at the wide receiver position. And if you look around the draft right here, there's really not much help for you at these positions. But the most intriguing player here to me is a cornerback out of Texas, Jahdae Barron. This guy's tape is incredible, and I think he's going to be a late riser in this draft. I could see him getting picked even all the way up here with the Panthers at number 8. Next, you've got the number 9 overall pick with the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints need help on that offense. It is awful. And if you're trying to build around a guy like Alvin Kamara, it helps to have a receiver that you can maybe go off of play action with. And I like Luther Burden III out of Missouri there. A really explosive guy who didn't have as good of a 2024 season as people may have liked, but a super explosive, great athlete. Next at number 10, we've got the Chicago Bears. And I have the Chicago Bears taking tackle Will Campbell out of LSU. Will Campbell is a player who has shorter arms, so he's more than likely going to play guard in the league. So I have the Bears taking him here to solidify that interior offensive line. Number 11, I have the San Francisco 49ers going with O-line here. They're in a position where they have a really stacked roster, but they have a few aging veterans, guys that maybe need to be filled in for, so I have them going Kelvin Banks Jr. to maybe replace Trent Williams when he retires in the next 1 to 2 seasons. Next, you've got the Dallas Cowboys, and this is my favorite pick of the entire draft. Jerry Jones, please do something right for the first time ever and take Ashton Jones, running back out of Boise State. With the 13th overall pick in the draft, you have the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are losing Javon Holland in this offseason. They may lose Tyreek Hill. They may lose a lot of guys. So what they really need to do here is look around and see who fits their position of needs the most. And I see that being Malachi Starks out of Georgia. Malachi Starks flashes off the tape, and I think he's an even better safety than Javon Holland if he lives up to his potential. Next, with the 14th overall pick, we have the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are a team that need edge help, tight end help, and help in the secondary. So I have them taking best player on the board here, Will Johnson out of Michigan. Next, we got the Atlanta Falcons, who need pass rushing help extremely bad. And James Pierce Jr. is a guy that's been very hyped up throughout the entire season and early in the draft, but a late riser in the draft is going to be Mike Green. This guy dominated at the Senior Bowl and looked extremely good, recording 17 sacks for Marshall this season, which is a smaller school, but this guy has the traits to be a great edge rusher in the NFL. Next, we've got the Arizona Cardinals. They need offensive line help and interior defensive line help. And I see a guy like Josh Simmons here whose tape looked great. He's coming off an ACL injury that allowed him to not be able to play near the end of the season. We're going to see if he tests at his pro day or in the draft, but I think he's a great player to get right here, which is why I have them taking him or Armand Membu. But I think they go with the safer route, a guy not coming off an ACL tear, and go Armand Membu here out of Missouri. Next, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are in a position that they need help on the defensive side of the ball. If you don't sign T. Higgins, I could see you going wide receiver here, but I think with the receivers left, none of them fit pick 17 right here. So I like them going with a guy like Mykel Williams or Walter Nolan, maybe even Shamar Stewart here. I think you just have to go best pass rusher available or best D lineman available. You have Trey Hendrickson out there on the outside, so do you pair an explosive guy like Mykel Williams with him, or do you draft a guy like Walter Nolan who can come in and be extremely disruptive in the interior on both run and pass plays? And that's who I have them taking. Next, you've got the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks need offensive line help and help on that defense. They have a defensive head coach, so I see them leaning defense with this pick, and I have them taking Mykel Williams out of Georgia. You see James Pierce is falling here a little bit. That's going to be shored up in a few moments, but I've just seen some flaws in his game a little bit, in all honesty. Next here, one of my other favorite picks of the draft, I have Jihad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama, going here to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're losing both of their interior linebackers in this offseason, and getting Jihad Campbell would be a great move for them. Next, we've got the Denver Broncos. The Broncos need help at receiver and tight end, more specifically tight end though. I think that they have struggled to fill that tight end spot ever since they lost Noah Fant in that Seattle Seahawks trade. So I have him going Colston Loveland out of Michigan here. He's not an inline tight end, meaning he's not a great blocker, but he can get you some really great mismatches in the slot. Next, you've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to re-sign Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. We don't know yet, so they're good at the quarterback position for this draft. Look for them to maybe get a guy in next year's draft, though, if either of those guys don't pan out this next season. I think they're going to go wide receiver here. They could go corner if they're really, really infatuated with Benjamin Morrison. But I see some flaws in his game. Maybe elite speed down the field. He's more of a risk guy in this draft. So I think they go receiver. Be safe here. Take a guy like Matthew Golden out of Texas. The only other option there is Emeka Egbuka, but I think Matthew Golden's just a little more explosive for them. Next, we've got the Chargers. We know they're a team that likes to build through the draft because of their head coach, and I like them going Shamar Stewart here out of Texas A&M, a really, really explosive guy setting that edge. Next, we've got the Green Bay Packers. I would hope for them to sign a receiver this offseason, a guy like Chris Godwin maybe. And when it comes to the draft, I see them needing cornerback help more than anything down the stretch. They didn't look as good with Jair Alexander missing the time that he missed. So I like them going Benjamin Morrison here. Or maybe a pass rusher. Their pass rush was really sketched down the stretch. So that's actually what I'm going to have them do here is take James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. Next with pick 24, we got the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know yet if they're going to bring back their running back for this season, which was Aaron Jones, former Green Bay Packer. He looked pretty good with them, but I think this is a stacked running back class. You could either take Omari and Hampton here, or you could wait till a later round. I actually have them taking Kenneth Grant out of Michigan right here, when the best player is still on the board. Next, with the Texans, they need receiver help. They're probably going to let Stephon Diggs walk, and Tank Dell is not going to be back for this entire season, so I like them taking Emeka Egbuka here, still at pick 25 if you can land him there. Next, we've got the Rams. Now, I love them taking Colston Loveland here if Colston Loveland is here, but he is not in this mock draft, so I have them going with Josh Simmons or Benjamin Morrison. I think Josh Simmons here is an excellent pick if you're the LA Rams. Next, we've got the Baltimore Ravens, and you need cornerback help. Benjamin Morrison falling to you is perfect. One of the best steals of the draft at this spot. Next, we've got the Detroit Lions, and I think they're in a position where they want to go O-line here. So I think they take Gray Zabel. This guy can play every single position on the O-line. He's coming from a smaller school, but he's been dominating at the Pro Bowl. So that's who I have them taking. And then with pick 29, you've got the Washington Commanders. They need O-line help. They could get another top guy at receiver, but there are no guys like that left at this moment in the draft. There are only second-round guys, in my opinion. So what I have them doing is going running back, Amari Hampton. I think he's a lot better than Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler. Next, we've got the Buffalo Bills. And I see the Buffalo Bills needing a receiver in this draft, but there aren't any guys left at this current moment. So what I like them doing is going Tyleik Williams or Nick Scourton. But my favorite out of these two guys is Tyleik Williams. You shore up that pass rush on the interior right there. Can also help stop the run and just solidify that defense and help it just continue to get better and better. Next, you got the Philadelphia Eagles. They're in a position where they can really just take best player available. Best player available at this point in the draft, at the current moment, in my opinion, is the guy like Trey Amos. This is a guy who is very, very good at the cornerback position. He'd help solidify a secondary with a guy leaving in Darius Slay, but I have them taking another Ole Miss guy. Trey Harris is going to help fulfill that position of need right there. That's who I have them taking with pick 31 in the NFL draft. Next, you see the Kansas City Chiefs. Now we all know who they're taking here, Josh Connerly Jr., if he's still available. Thank y'all for watching my NFL Mock Draft 2.0. Let me know down below what y'all think, and consider watching this video right here that YouTube recommends you, and consider subscribing right here.